My Lords, if I may briefly just deal with 2 points and say to the very reasonable question from the noble Baroness Lady Pigeon, the reason for a separate London debate, I think, is that devolution of rail services, really there are 3 different cases that currently exist. One is London, where services are devolved in large measure, not all of them, but there is a large measure of devolution that exists. The second is the other large conurbations, Birmingham, Manchester and so forth, with the exception of Liverpool, which we agreed earlier in committee was a slightly separate case, but those other large conurbations where devolution of rail services does not exist. And then you have the third case of local authorities that are too small really to have much credibility as operating services on the national rail network, though there might be specific cases. And it seemed to me that London did deserve a distinct case, because it is a distinct debate, because it is different from the other cases that we debated earlier, even though it was mentioned at the time. Now, just turning briefly to the noble Lord the Minister, we have had some instances of documents that rewrite themselves in the course of our committee. And the latest one is, of course, the letter, which it now turns out we'd all misinterpreted because the weasel word current hadn't been given sufficient prominence. So, in fact, it means that there may well be devolution of the operation of rail services to London and elsewhere, which isn't quite what it meant when everyone first read it. But still, there we are. I suppose the Minister will, the noble Lord the Minister will feel he's got away with that. But what has he got away with when he offers a statutory role? Well, we have a notion of what is meant by statutory role when we turn to the Labour Party document, Getting Britain Moving, where it says quite explicitly, there must also be a statutory role for devolved leaders in governing, managing, planning and developing the rail work. And eloquent by its silence is the word operating. It really is not on offer. Whatever the noble Lord says may or may not currently be the case, and whatever provisions of existing legislation he refers to, it is not going to happen. It is inconsistent with his argument for a single brain. It is not mentioned as it could be in the Labour Party policy document. There is not going to be meaningful devolution unless there is change to the legislation. This may be a very short bill, as the noble Lord the Minister says, but it is pregnant with possibilities for the future, very heavily so. With that, my Lords, I beg leave to withdraw my amendment.